Hey guys, Rob here. So today's video, I want to talk about my tent and why I think it's the best solo lightweight tent on the market. So stick around. All right guys, so many of you have seen me use this in my videos here. This is my one-person tent. It's the Lanshan 1. And real quick, I'm going to go over a couple of specs on it and my overall thoughts on it as far as usage and stuff goes. So I've had this tent almost a year now, and I have used it many times in all kinds of conditions. So as usual, I feel like I've put in enough time with this tent to voice my opinion on it. So real quick guys, I just want to get this out of the way. I'm not sponsored by this company, Mir, which makes the Lanshan. There's a couple other companies out there that make pretty much identical copies of this. I don't know exactly who the original is. I think it's by 3FUL Gear. They made the original and then everyone else has started copying them. But either way, I'm not sponsored by any of them. And I bought this tent with my own money. And I bought it also too before I was even doing YouTube. So I just want to clarify that. Okay, so the reason I'm reviewing this is because I get a lot of questions about this in my videos down in the comments. Seems a lot of people haven't seen this particular style tent before. So I'm reviewing it because I feel like it's worth it and I can just show you guys all the features and stuff. I'll leave a link to it in the description and everything. That way you guys will know where to find all the stuff I have with this here tent. All right, so with this tent here, one of the most important things about it is that it is not a freestanding tent. It's a trekking pole tent. So a freestanding tent comes with tent poles and you can move the tent around without staking it to the ground. This tent has to be staked out in order to get it a good pitch on it. And you are gonna need a trekking pole or a stick or something like that. If you don't have that, you can set this up underneath of a tree by tying it off to a branch, and I'll show you guys that here later on in the video. All right, a couple of general things about this tent here. I'm not gonna go too scientific on it. I'll leave the link to this tent in the description where you guys can see all the actual features and everything and dimensions and stuff. One of the reasons I bought this tent is because look how small it is. It's extremely small. And if we compare that to a water bottle here, you guys can see it's very small. So what drew me to this tent was the compactability of this. It's very small, okay? And also too, the dimensions of the tent. Now, I'm a pretty tall person. I'm like 6'4", 6'5", give or take. One of those. So I need to have the length to be able to stretch out without my feet being on one end of the tent and my head being on the other end. I'm sure some of you taller guys or women out there will know exactly what I'm talking about. So this tent is plenty long enough. I have plenty of room to stretch completely out and nothing touches either end of it. And so that's a big plus because it just makes sleeping and just overall like laying down in comfort so much better. Another good feature about this tent, okay, is the weight. It comes in at 1.7 pounds, all right? I mean, that's light for a tent, all right? And this is a single person tent, and they do make another version of this here where you can get the pro version, which comes in at 1.5 pounds, but it doesn't have the mesh inner. So with this tent, the way it is in its carry bag, my setup here, okay, with my stakes and everything included in this and my ground sheet, this thing comes in at exactly 2.5 pounds. So it's a little bit heavier than what it comes stock, but I've upgraded a few things in here, and 2.5 pounds, and for this size, that's fine for me. All right, so it comes in this really nice bag here. I'm gonna open it up. It's got these little snaps on here. You just unsnap them, unroll it from the top, and now you have the bag. Bag's waterproof too, so you don't have to worry about that. I'm gonna show you guys what I have in here. All right, so I have tent stakes in here, and it also comes with this bag here for the tent stakes, made out of the same material. So the tent comes with its own stakes, okay? And these are, this is like a 4-sided stake. I don't know what it's called, but you guys can see it's got 4 different angles on it to grip into the ground. These are the minis. These are only like 6 inches, I believe. So I ground out the edges there just a little bit. That way, you know, when I'm tying the guy out lines to it, it catches everywhere. But anyway, yeah, so it comes with a bunch of these, and I only carry 3 of them because I only use them for the guy out points to make the tent bigger, which I'll show you guys that later. Because here in Florida, there's a lot of sand everywhere and stuff, and you kind of need to have bigger tent stakes to really get a good anchor into the ground, because sometimes some places that you set up your tent, it's not always dirt. You might have 1 or 2 stakeout points where it's sand, and just having a little bit of extra length on the stakes helps. So I upgraded the stakes to these MSR groundhog stakes, and these are 7.5 inches, I believe, and it's like a 3-sided design here. I'll leave a link to it. These stakes are phenomenal. So I have a few of those in there, 2 of them, and they are for my main guy out points on the tent. And then for the rest, I have these other stakes here. These are gold armor stakes. Nothing too fancy. I just had some leftover ones. I've got a whole bunch of extra stakes from different tarps and things that I bought. But I have these gold armor blue ones here, and this is also a 3-sided stake. And I have 5 of them. And the reason why I have this in this kind of order is because I've got 5 for all the corners of the tent, and they're color coded. So these are the blue ones, so I know exactly what I'm grabbing. The MSR groundhogs are very unique, so I know exactly which ones these go for. And then the 3 small ones that came with the tent, these go for the guy out points. So everything's color coded, that way I can quickly set the tent up if I had to. So as you guys can see, this is a large tent here, especially for 1 person. You could do 2 people if you're a little bit smaller. I was able to get me and my 9-year-old son in here one night. He was scared to sleep in the other tent with his brother, so he joined me on this one, and we had enough room in there. But yeah, so you see it's all guyed out in the corners, and you could see that these right here, these guy outs actually create more headroom and foot room as well. So those guy out to here, and it's the same thing back here on the back, and then there's one more over here in this corner. You can get a little bit more height out if you were to get a stick, put a stick under here. You see how that's pulling it up higher, but that still works fine. So one thing that is definitely worth mentioning is that if you get the Lanshan 1, the non-pro version, you do have to do some seam sealing. And Gear-Aid makes a seam seal for it called Seam Seal Plus Seal. The tent does come with its own seam seal. You can use it, I'm sure it's fine, but I decided to go with the Gear-Aid one. I just feel like it's a better brand. But yeah, so you're gonna have to seam seal these guy out points here because these will leak. So just put a dab of some seam seal there, spread it around here and everything. And then also too, spots here with some stitching right there. You're gonna wanna seam seal that. Also here where there's some stitching, I seam sealed that. And just go around your tent and make sure you get all these little spots here. Same thing back here, seam seal all this. And that's it. I didn't seam seal any of this here. So another good feature about this tent here is you guys see how high this sits right here? So this allows for good airflow to get through. You can also pitch this so that way this is actually much lower, or if you disconnect it from here and you use that extra stake, go ahead and loosen this up. So the door's there. And I put the shock cord on here. And now if you wanted to, you could pitch one door closed and then the other door you can either have open, or if you adjust the tent pole inside, you could pitch this whole thing much lower to the ground. On the door here, it's got this flap here, and there's some sort of plastic in there, or I don't know what kind of coating it is, but it's kind of firm. It's not soft like the rest of the fabric here. That's nice because it just seals everything up real nice, so when it's raining and stuff, you're not gonna get wet. Zippers, I'm pretty sure these are YKK zippers, so they're really smooth and watertight, and smooth all the way up and down. No issues with it catching there at all. Up here at the top, this right here, this is actually a vent. So there's mesh at the very top. And then this door here rolls out. So same thing on this side. This door does roll out. You can roll it all the way out, just like the other side. Just like that. And now you have your tent fully exposed there for airflow. Another cool thing about this tent here is that if you wanted to, you could remove the inner from the rain fly, and you can pitch just the rain fly if you wanted to. So if you really wanted to save weight, and instead of like tarp camping, you wanted to use this as a setup, you absolutely could do that. All right, so let's go ahead and have a tour inside. So right out here, you can see massive vestibule area, really big area. There's just a lot of space in this outside area. You know, you can store your gear. I usually keep all my water and stuff out here. Yeah, there's just plenty of space. So back to the door, back to the tent here. YKK zippers on the door here. Incredibly smooth zippers. The mesh is really fine. Nothing's getting through that. So I'm gonna open this up here. And then the door can also roll out as well. Just gonna fold it back there for now. You guys can see it's got a nice large bathtub. Bathtub floor is nice. I haven't had any issues with any leaking or anything like that. I do have a ground sheet under here. This tent does have an option to where you can order a ground sheet for it. That's the exact dimensions of this. But I didn't order that one. I actually ordered a different ground sheet from Gear Top, and it's a narrow one. It's pretty much just as long as the tent itself, but it only extends from the door here to about right here. So that corner right there where I usually set my pack at doesn't have a ground sheet. And the only reason why I did that is because I wasn't too worried about that particular area catching a hole in it. Plus the Gear Top ground sheet that I use is way lighter than the other one, and I'm trying to keep the weight down. I've heard a lot of people use this tent without any ground sheet and don't have any issues with it at all. So I think it's good to go, but for peace of mind, I do run that ground sheet. And it's already attached to the tent. I tied it off to the tent. That way, anytime I set it up, the ground sheet is always right in place. And you guys can see it's tied there, and it runs all across every corner. All right, so you guys, you see I'm in here. I got enough headroom right here in the center, obviously where it's tallest, and I'm comfortable like this. I've got plenty of room to move around. I can change my clothes in here. I've done that. I'm gonna bring you guys inside here. Right now the camera is right in the middle of the tent here, and I'm gonna lay back. So you see, I'm all the way at the end. I have space. So you guys see, I'm all the way at the end. I still have space. Not a huge amount of space, but it's good enough for me. Like I said, I'm a giant. And then down at my feet, I've got space down at my feet here. And this is what it looks like back here. So inside the tent, at the very top, it does have this here, like lanyard loop. And I typically will hang my lantern from that. Sometimes my little tiny fan, I'll hang from that. So one more thing I forgot to show you guys here. I want to show you guys the vestibule space with the doors closed. So I gotta untie this door real quick. There we go. And then we just come up here to the zipper. All the way. And now I'm sitting inside my tent with my legs crossed, and I still have all this room here for all my gear. I could cook right here, which, like I said, I've done, with the rain coming down, and the rain just beads right off. So plenty of space in here, guys. One last thing I forgot to mention is right here, this little tab here, this sky out tab. That is for in case you don't have a trekking pole, you forget it, you lose it, you break it, whatever. If you happen to set up underneath or near a tree, you could actually tie this off up to a tree branch, and that would act as your center pole there. So guys, to wrap this video up here, last thing I wanted to mention here was the price. So last I checked, which was just a few days ago, this tent right here was listed as $139. It's a little bit cheaper than what I paid for it on Amazon, but if you order it from any other website like Etsy and stuff like that, I believe, or AliExpress, I believe they're a lot cheaper on there. I don't order from those types of website, guys. I order from Amazon. I know it's a trusted site, and if I have any issues, I'll get my money back and I don't have to wait weeks to receive the product. So on Amazon, this right here was last at $140, just the tent and the stakes that it comes with, that's it. I think it's a very, very fair price for the type of tent that you're getting. You're getting an ultralight tent, or an almost ultralight tent. And if you look into actual ultralight tents, I mean, you could be paying $600, $700, $1,000 on an ultralight tent that's gonna weigh, what, 1 pound, 3 ounces or something like that. So this tent right here comes with all this, not the pro version, 1.7 pounds. And you can get it lighter than that if you get the pro version. So yeah, I think that this is an unbeatable tent for the price that you're paying for it. And as long as you like trekking pole style tents, I think this is a perfect tent to get if you haven't heard of one. Another thing, the size, you know, compactability. It easily fits down into my pack, and that just leaves more space for other important gear items. And I'm not carrying a bunch of weight like a freestanding tent. Those tents usually weigh a lot more. So that's why I run this particular one. Right now, this tent has been absolutely a monster to use, and it's enjoyable to set up, and I highly recommend it, guys. So, and like I said, I'm gonna leave links to everything here that I use on this particular tent in the description box, so that way you guys can check it out. But yeah, if you guys found the video helpful, do me a huge favor, smash that like button for me, subscribe if you're new, share the content, let me know what you guys thought down in the comments, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.